My name is Thomas Hale, and I live on the outskirts of a small town in Montana, about 40 miles from the nearest city. Out here, the mornings come early, and the work never ends. I own a modest farm, just enough land to keep some livestock, a few acres of crops, and a small truck that I use to deliver produce and animal feed around town. Life in the countryside teaches you to respect silence, to listen to the wind, and to find comfort in routine. I share the farmhouse with my wife, Emily, our 3 children, Noah, 14, Sophie, 10, and little Grace, who's only 6, and my mother, who has lived with us ever since my father passed. 6 of us under one roof. It's loud, chaotic, full of laughter and mess, but it's home. Most mornings I'm up before dawn. There's something about those quiet hours when the sky is still bruised with night and the roosters are only beginning to stir that makes you feel alive. I'd brew a pot of coffee, step outside and breathe in the cold morning air. The smell of hay, the faint hint of diesel from the truck, the dew on the grass. It all feels like the rhythm of life itself. That particular morning, one I'll never forget, started just like any other. The calendar said early October, the air already crisp. I loaded the truck with crates of vegetables and feed sacks the night before, so I just needed to start the engine, make my delivery rounds, and be home by noon. I walked out of the house quietly, careful not to wake the kids. The horizon was still gray, with a thin stripe of orange far in the east. I climbed into the driver's seat, turned the key halfway to let the glow plugs warm up, then paused. That's when I heard it. A faint sound, almost nothing. At first, I thought it was the creak of the barn door in the wind, or the squeak of a loose chain. But then I heard it again, a weak, trembling sound, like a whimper or a cry. It was so soft that I wasn't even sure it was real. I sat there, listening, and the sound came again, a tiny, broken meow. I turned off the ignition and stepped out. "Hello?" I said quietly, feeling a bit foolish talking to the dark. The gravel crunched under my boots as I walked around the truck. The air felt heavy, still. The sound came again, clearer this time. A whine, a small moan of pain. It was coming from behind the truck. My stomach tightened. I walked around to the back, unlatched the rear door, and pulled it open. What I saw made my breath stop cold. There, curled up between 2 stacks of cardboard boxes, was a small, white cat. No more than 2 years old, from what I could guess. Her fur was matted with blood and dirt, one paw bent unnaturally. Her breathing was shallow, labored, and her eyes, those wide, terrified eyes, looked straight at me, as if begging for help. "Oh my God," I whispered. She tried to move, but whimpered, her whole body trembling. My heart started pounding. I could see that her side had deep scratches, maybe from a fight or an accident. I didn't know how long she'd been there, maybe all night. "Hey there, sweet girl," I murmured, crouching down slowly so I wouldn't scare her. My hands were shaking as I lifted her. She weighed almost nothing. Her fur was cold, her body limp except for the occasional twitch of pain. She didn't resist, just let out the weakest meow I'd ever heard. I didn't think twice. I laid her gently on an old blanket on the passenger seat, grabbed my keys, and started the engine. The truck roared to life, and I drove as fast as the dirt road would allow, straight toward the animal hospital in the city. The drive felt endless. Every bump in the road made me flinch, afraid it might hurt her more. I kept one hand on the steering wheel and the other gently on her side, feeling her tiny ribs rise and fall. "Hang in there, sweetheart," I kept whispering. "You're gonna be okay, just a little longer." When we reached the city, I pulled up to the emergency entrance of the veterinary clinic. I jumped out, scooped her up in the blanket, and rushed inside. A young woman at the reception desk looked up in surprise. "Sir, do you have an appointment?" "She's dying," I said, out of breath. "Please, she needs help right now." Her face softened instantly. "Hold on, let me call Dr. Warren." She picked up the phone, speaking in hushed urgency. "We have an emergency, possible trauma, cat, adult female." Then she looked at me again. "The doctor's in surgery, but he'll come as soon as he can. Please take a seat." I sat in the waiting area, holding the small bundle in my lap. She was barely breathing. I stroked her fur gently with one finger, whispering to her as though words alone could keep her alive. "You're safe now, little one. You're not alone. I promise." Her tail flicked weakly just once. I took that as a sign she could still hear me. Minutes felt like hours. My hands were sticky with her blood, but I didn't care. I just wanted her to stay. Finally, a tall man in a white coat rushed in. "I'm Dr. Warren. Let's get her to surgery right now." He reached out, taking her from me with careful precision. "We'll do everything we can." I nodded, my throat too tight for words, and then she was gone, carried behind swinging doors. The waiting room emptied as the morning wore on. Sunlight filled the windows, and the world outside went on as usual, but time seemed to stop for me. After a while, I stood up, too restless to sit. I needed to understand what had happened. How did a wounded cat end up in my truck? I remembered parking the night before in the garage, locking everything up like always. A thought hit me. The security cameras. I drove home, my heart pounding for a new reason now. Inside my office, I turned on the computer that connected to the garage cameras and scrolled back through the footage from the previous night. For a few minutes there was nothing, just stillness, the soft glow of the overhead light. Then, around 2:37 a.m., the motion sensor triggered. A figure appeared. A person wearing a dark hoodie walked into frame, carrying something in their hands. They moved quietly, glancing around like someone who didn't want to be seen. Then they bent down and placed someone, on top of the cardboard boxes in the back of my truck. My heart stopped. It was her, the white cat. The person adjusted the blanket around her, hesitated for a few seconds, then turned and walked away into the darkness. I watched, frozen, as the door of the garage swung shut behind them. I didn't recognize the person. The hood covered most of their face, but their movements, slow, deliberate, told me something. Whoever it was, they didn't leave her there out of cruelty. It looked more like desperation. Still, it didn't sit right. I copied the footage onto a USB drive and drove straight to the police station in town. The officer at the front desk listened quietly as I explained what had happened. When I showed him the video, he leaned forward, watching closely. "We'll need to investigate," he said finally. "Could be someone in trouble, maybe couldn't afford a vet, maybe thought you'd find her. Either way, you did the right thing bringing this in." I thanked him and left. My mind was spinning. I didn't know if I felt angry, sad, or both. All I knew was that I couldn't stop thinking about that cat, how fragile she felt in my arms, how those eyes had looked at me. The rest of the day was a blur. I tried to keep busy on the farm, feeding the chickens, checking the fences, anything to distract myself. But every time I paused, I saw her again in my mind, bleeding and afraid. When the phone finally rang that evening, my heart nearly stopped. "Mr. Hale?" It was Dr. Warren. His voice sounded calm, even hopeful. "She made it," he said. "The surgery went well. She had internal injuries, a broken leg, and severe blood loss, but she's stable now. She's resting. You can visit her tomorrow." For a second, I couldn't speak. Then I let out a breath I hadn't realized I'd been holding. "Thank you, doctor," I said, my voice breaking. "Thank you for saving her." That night, I'd barely slept. I kept thinking about her, the way she had looked at me, the way I had promised she wasn't alone. I didn't even know if she had an owner, but somehow I felt responsible for her now. I'd found her, or maybe she'd found me. Either way, I knew one thing for sure. I wasn't letting her go. The next morning, the sun rose soft and gold over the hills. I hadn't slept much, but I didn't feel tired. My thoughts were fixed on the little white cat at the clinic, the one who had somehow crawled her way into my heart in just a few short hours. Emily handed me a cup of coffee as I pulled on my worn jacket. "Any news?" she asked, her voice gentle, already guessing the answer. "Yeah," I said, a small smile tugging at my lips. "The vet called. She made it through surgery. I'm heading there now." She reached out and squeezed my arm. "Bring her home when she's ready, Tom." She didn't need any more explanation. She knew me too well. When I got to the clinic, Dr. Warren was waiting just outside the recovery room. His face, usually so serious, was bright with relief. "She's a fighter," he said. "It was close, but she's stable now. Strong-willed to live, that one." He led me to a small room where she lay curled on a towel. Clean now, her fur looked like freshly fallen snow. A small bandage wrapped her leg, and an IV line ran gently into her paw. She was breathing slowly, steadily. I moved closer, trying not to make a sound. Her ears twitched. Her eyes fluttered open, pale, soft blue, like the early morning sky. "Hey there," I whispered. "You made it." She blinked once, slow and calm, as if to say she knew. That single blink, simple as it was, felt like the world had stopped to breathe. Dr. Warren smiled. "She'll need care and rest for a few weeks. Antibiotics, soft food, warmth. If you're willing, you can foster her. After she's healed, we can figure out if anyone's looking for her." "I'll take her," I said, immediately, without even thinking. That afternoon, I brought her home. The kids and Emily were waiting on the porch, excitement flickering in their eyes. "Daddy, is that her?" Grace asked, peering into the carrier. "Yeah," I said, smiling. "She's been through a lot, but she's safe now." We set her up in the laundry room, quiet and warm, away from the dogs and the bustle of the house. She barely moved at first, just sniffed the air, then curled up on the soft blanket we'd laid down. For days, I sat near her, speaking softly, giving her time to trust. "You're home now, sweetheart. No more cold nights, no more pain." The girls named her Cloud because of her white fur and the way she seemed to float silently around the room. The name fit her perfectly. By the end of the second week, she began to change. Her eyes brightened, her steps grew steadier. She started following the sound of our voices, especially mine. If I left the room, she'd meow softly, as if to ask where I was going. Then one night, as I was reading quietly beside her bed, I heard it, her first purr. It was faint, uncertain, but real. That sound, it filled the whole room with warmth. It was the kind of sound that tells you everything will be okay. A few months later, Cloud had become part of the rhythm of our lives. She'd wander around the barn, nap on the window ledge in the sun, and sit on the fence post while I worked in the fields. The first time she climbed onto my lap when I was fixing equipment, I froze, afraid to move. She looked up at me, slow blinking those blue eyes again, and then rested her head on my arm. From that moment on, I think we both understood something wordless. She wasn't just a stray I'd rescued. Somehow, she was rescuing me too. Then one morning in December, I got a call from the police. They'd identified the person from the security footage, the one who had left Cloud in my truck. It turned out to be a woman from 2 towns over, someone who had recently lost her home and was living out of her car. She had several animals, but no way to care for them. Cloud had been hit by a vehicle, and when she couldn't afford a vet, she tried to help on her own. When Cloud got worse, she panicked. She remembered my truck from the market, the name painted on the side. She must have believed I'd find her. The officer asked if I wanted to press charges. I didn't even hesitate. "No," I said. She was trying to save her in the only way she could. That night, I sat by the fire with Cloud purring in my lap and whispered, "You were loved before you came to me. That's how you made it here." Spring came, and Cloud bloomed with it. Her fur gleamed under the sun, her steps light and strong. She loved to chase butterflies across the yard, nap on the hayloft in the sun, and stalk the barn swallows with playful arrogance. Every morning, she'd follow me outside, keeping pace as I made my rounds, and every evening, when I returned from deliveries, she'd be waiting by the gate, her tail curling like a small flag of welcome. She had become family. Even my mother, who had never cared much for cats, took to her. She'd curl up by her feet as she knit by the fireplace. "She's an old soul," she'd murmur. "She's seen more than most." I believed it. There was something knowing in Cloud's gaze, something gentle and unshakable. One evening, after a long day in the fields, I sat on the porch with a cup of tea watching the sun melt into the hills. Cloud jumped up beside me, landing with a quiet grace. She sat there, still as the air, her fur glowing in the fading light. I reached out and scratched her head lightly. "You know, I never meant to find you," I said softly. "Guess the world had other plans." She purred and leaned against my arm. And in that moment, it hit me how easily we could have missed each other. One sound in the dark, one decision to stop instead of drive away, and everything would have been different. Months later, I received a letter. The handwriting was shaky, the envelope worn. It was from the woman who had left Cloud in my truck. "Mr. Hale, I've carried guilt for what I did that night. I didn't know what else to do. I prayed someone kind would find her, and you did. Thank you for saving her when I couldn't. Please tell her I'm sorry. I'll never forget your kindness. By M. Evans." I read it twice, then looked over at Cloud sleeping on the windowsill, her tail twitching softly. "You're forgiven," I murmured. "Both of you." Years passed, but Cloud stayed. She watched the kids grow, guarded the barn, and filled the quiet corners of the house with her calm presence. Even the dogs had learned to respect her, the queen of our little world. Every morning, she'd follow me to the truck as I loaded crates. She'd hop onto the step, sit down, and stare at me until I smiled. It was her way of saying, "Check the back before you go." It became our ritual, a private understanding that the past was behind us and we were safe now. When my mother passed away one winter night, the house felt unbearably silent. That evening, Cloud jumped into my lap and pressed her head against my chest, purring softly. It felt like she was breathing warmth back into my heart. I remember thinking then that love doesn't always come in the shape we expect. Sometimes it walks on quiet paws, carrying healing in the gentlest way possible. It's been years since that morning, but I still think about it often. About the faint sound in the dark, about how a single moment of compassion changed 2 lives forever. People think kindness is something we give when we have extra time, extra patience, extra strength. But the truth is, it's what we give when we think we have nothing left. Cloud taught me that saving a life doesn't always mean changing the world. It just means showing up when it matters most. She reminded me that compassion isn't weakness, it's courage in its quietest form. And sometimes, the thing you save ends up saving you right back. So if you ever hear a small cry in the night, stop. Listen. It might be the sound of grace finding its way to you. Sometimes love arrives softly, on quiet paws, through pain, and in the places we least expect. When we choose compassion, we don't just save another life, we rediscover our own.